the cat ball started going off. I was like, okay, just so I can know you're really doing it, can you do that again? And right as I asked it, started doing it again. And I had one set up across the room, and I started asking. I said, I need to ask you, when I was in the bed that night, did you touch my shirt? And right before I could finish the question, the one clear across the room that hadn't even gone off yet started going off.
You said Sunday and Monday. What is that now?
Pod, in case they want to show up that's the names of the two spirits, the sisters who were here. I've captured evidence of them. Yeah, I talked to them before we started and told them that if they wanted to come during the podcast. So I got a REM pod set up back here just in case they want to come talk to us.
Wow. I wasn't really expecting this part now. This is cool.
Yeah.
What's that sound mean?
That sound? That sounds the REM pod's going off. Yeah. Let me cancel it real quick. Hold on.
So they're in there with you then. Is it making your lights light up?
Yeah. It's got lights on. Hold on. It's a motion sensor. Yeah. It's one of my favorite little tools. It puts out an invisible EMF field. It's real popular with all the investigators and stuff. But, yeah. So.
Multiverse launching in 3, 2, 1.
Guess we're rolling?
Yeah. Dude, I need to tell you something real quick before we get into anything for real, because what I've got to talk about ain't really ghosts. So I watched that movie Frequency. It made me think about what you do. What you're doing could be something like that, possibly. Also, this other thing happened to me. I was talking to this guy named Marchese. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's been on my show once. Was going to be on another episode, and we had to reschedule because we had some technical difficulties happening. We were just talking about funny stuff and just having a good old time. Right before, I was like, hey, dude, we just need to call it right now and do it later. I had this deja vu moment. It was more like a deja reve moment than a deja vu moment.
Now you're going to have to remind me on what deja reve is.
So deja reve is whenever you have a dream of something happening or have experienced it, actually feel like you have experienced it more so than deja vu. And I may be wrong about that. I should probably look it up, but for the sake of time, I won't, and people in comments can just correct me. I was like, dude, we got to call it. But before I said that, I said, hey, man, have we done this before? Not the last episode that we recorded, but like what's going on right now? Like have we done another episode since the first one? Because I knew we had only done one that I could remember, but then all of a sudden I remembered doing two, right? And he's like, no, this is the only other time. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't think I really explained it to him what was up, but I was just like, hey, yeah, we need to redo it. And then I went upstairs to tell Rebecca about it, and I expected her to be sitting at the Xbox playing Vampire Survivors, because like she likes to play Vampire Survivors and collecting all the characters and stuff. She wasn't there. And then I went upstairs and she was asleep. I told her, like, when she woke up, whenever I kind of got into bed and everything, she wasn't really good to sleep yet. And I told her what had happened. But now I have like two vivid memories. Both of these memories happened in my mind as real as each other. And it wasn't like a typical deja vu. It was almost like I remembered two different universes of myself or something.
Man, it's crazy. I'm telling you, man, it's Appalachia, dude. There's something about that area you live in, man.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I'm not afraid of aliens anymore.
Well, that's good.
Because I finished listening to the Mothman Prophecies, and then I watched, was it The Fifth Kind? Is it a documentary? My friend told me to watch. Fourth Kind, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I bought it, so I can tell you.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind's an actual documentary with Stephen Greer.
Yes.
Stephen Greer's crazy, man. In a good way.
And then I watched that movie. I might have told you about it. It's called Look to the Skies.
Yeah, I still need to watch it.
Dude, that movie kind of felt like, it wasn't like scary like Stranger Things is, but it had that kind of a vibe. But it felt a little bit kind of like E.T., but also Back to the Future. It was different. It was weird.
Yeah.
Have you been to Taco Bell recently?
Last time I went to Taco Bell, it's not been that long. I haven't been going as much, dude. They quit serving their nuggets, man.
Dude, they got those nuggets in a burrito now.
I've tried it. It's good.
It's good. And they got $3 steak burritos now.
I have to go back.
That's worth it. And it's good steak. It's actually pretty darn good. I got some, and Rebecca and me ate some on the way home Saturday, and she liked it. And if she likes it, it's good.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it for a while.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
She said to tell you hey, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Tell her I said hey.
Absolutely.
She's so sweet. I love seeing all y'all's stuff on Facebook and all.
Yeah, she started her channel too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's called Beck's Outside. So it's all about hiking and all that stuff, like, what we do on for fun anyways.
Yeah, I hope maybe we'll get the REM pods starting to go off.
I tell you that my speakers do that sometimes.
Oh, really? What the sound that was making?
Not that sound, but I can hear kind of sound come through when the power's off on them. I mean, maybe power could travel through the lines from the power outlet, but I don't know. It's on a surge protector. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know if it's still plugged in, it can do some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, you obviously have a lot of weird stuff happening, especially since, our last interview.
Yeah, dude. And even on that interview, like, I lost a lot of your video for some reason. And then as I was listening to it back, I could hear a voice that wasn't mine or yours say some stuff, and I couldn't make it out. And then I was going to try to find it and play it on the show, but I could never find it again.
It's an EVP, man. You call that. I've heard of other people having that happen on podcasts. You said you just got done with Mothman Prophecies, right? So if you hear John Keel, remember the story where he talked about how he was going to go on, I think he talked about on radio shows and stuff, and they would always have interruptions. Stuff like that would happen to him all the time. Whenever he would go and try to talk about stuff.
He even said that people would call his house. That was what really confused me. People would call his house or call people as him, I guess, and they would think it was really him. And
when I went to Point Pleasant several years ago, and it was me and my ex-wife now. We stayed this place called the Low Hotel, and it's right literally across the street from the Mothman Museum, where they have every report. Pretty much, even the first one, you need to go, man. They've got all the stuff there, and then it's right walking distance from where the original Silver Bridge was at. They've got a monument there. You can see the new Silver Bridge. The thing about the Low, I mean, not only have you got all the Mothman lore and stuff in the town, but the Low is haunted too, the hotel. And I knew that, and originally I'd asked for, I forget what room number it was, but it's considered the most haunted room. So I asked for that one, of course. And when we got there, they hadn't turned the air on. Now it's an old place. So they have a lot of window units in there, but it's actually really nice, like a lot of nice antiques. It's a nice old hotel. It looks like The Shining in the hallways. They gave us the suite, and they were telling us that we call this the captain's room because some people have seen a captain staring out the river because it's right by the river. We were the only people on the third floor in that hotel. So we had free reign. All of the doors were unlocked to the rooms. Nobody was staying in the rooms, so the ones that were empty, they were unlocked. We went to one of the rooms, the one that's supposedly most haunted. You walk in, there's this creepy painting in there. So anyway, we're sitting there, and I've got a K2 meter, which is an EMF reader. We weren't really getting anything. So I decide, well, I'm in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I might as well ask about injured cold. And so when I start asking about injured cold, my EMF detector started going off. Not that I'm saying that was him, but
but still.
But yeah, it's obviously something there. It resonated with something.
Now, whenever you typically do an investigation, if you're talking to an entity, does it pretend to be somebody that it's not sometimes, or does it usually come as the person you're asking for?
That happens to people a lot. And I had never had anything to prove to me that it was something acting like somebody else. I've heard tons of stories.
So as far as we know, this was injured cold coming to you.
Who knows? I mean, I think maybe just talking about it might have sparked something. And that was the first time ever. And it was a spirit box that scans the radio stations, like you hear all the static. That's the first time I ever had my name said, and I was in a room by myself. We were in the suite we were staying in. I come walking in, and my ex-wife, she told me, she said, she's like, what happened? And I was like, well, I was sitting in there and I said, well, my name's Dean. Can you say my name? And just as happy as you can get, a guy goes, Dean, like that. So I just stood, I said, okay, thanks. and I stood up and walked into the other room. I think the color was gone from my face because that was the first time I'd ever had that happen to. I've had it happen a lot. Now I'm just, whenever it happens, I'm like, oh yeah, somebody said, they just said your name. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that's pretty cool, huh? It would scare me. Right. Now I was like, hope it does. The next day we went out to the TNT area where all the sightings were at, where they started. It's old bunkers. They call it the TNT area because they made TNT during World War II, and the bunkers are built into the ground. into these humps and these domes, and you can go into these, they call them igloos is what they call them.
Yeah.
And so we went out there and explored it, and I was in heaven, man. So there's a feel about that whole town, especially if you know after reading the book. To me, there's something like I can't wait to go back. I called it my pilgrimage.
I was going to say it's kind of like if I were to go to Pikeville, Kentucky, that's probably how I'd feel because of listening to the Pennyroyal and some weird stuff that happened.
I still got to listen to that.
You'll like it, I promise.
Have you got to listen to Hellier at all yet?
Not yet. I was literally planning to do that one, but I started the book. I literally just finished the book because it's like 14 hours long.
Well, I mean, between work and being a dad and doing a podcast, you don't have a whole heck of a lot of time. So
I try to carve out some time, though, for that kind of stuff because to me, I consider it whatever I can learn is valuable, not only to me personally, but even to the show. Like I can use it to talk to people.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned Greg and Dana Newkirk last time, and since you've gotten into this, especially with your podcast with vocalist The Silent Planet, man, dude, that episode was so good. That is one of my favorite podcast episodes I've ever listened to. I don't even
know if Garrett know what he was getting into. I asked him on X, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, cool, thanks, bro.
And I mean, I think because I'm such a fan of that band, and he is a very unique and amazing vocalist, and when I found out he was into all that, I was like, this guy better hope I don't ever run into him, so I'm probably going to get on his nerves a little bit. You know, I plan on, so if he sees this, I'm going to hem you up somewhere, man, and we're going to talk about ultra terrestrials, so you just get ready.
I think he'd be down for it though, dude, because he's real down to earth.
Yeah, man, he really is. I just like I said, I enjoyed that. I mean, you were the one interviewing him, but I felt like I was there with y'all, you know. And you gave me a shout out. That made me happy.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, so we're talking about Greg and Dana Newkirk, and you having read Mothman Prophecies, and us talking about ultra terrestrials and all. You've heard me talk about what they call the Estes method. They put the headphones on. Dana is really good at it, Greg's wife, and they use the older SB7, and she has some abilities anyway. She'll get in and she'll put a blind, you know, cover her eyes and get in the zone, and they've actually gotten to where they've had ultra terrestrials come through. I was listening to them talk about an investigation they were on doing Estes, and Greg said, you want to hear something crazy? And they're like, what? And he said something addressing it. All of a sudden, she just starts saying, she doesn't know what he's asking. She's just saying what she's hearing. And they've tapped into all kind of stuff doing that.
What is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you whenever you were doing ghost hunting? Or do we call it ghost hunting, or do we call it paranormal investigation?
I don't care, man. Whatever you want to call it.
Ghost busting.
I think I mentioned what happened, like the scariest thing that ever happened to me. When I was at Brushy Mountain, there was a guy I was with. Neither one of us could hardly talk. The energy was so strong in there, and we were in the hole, and he was feeling sick.
That's right, in the prison.
Yeah, in the prison. And then he all of a sudden, his demeanor was different, and then his voice sounded different when he started talking. And he doesn't remember like the last 15 minutes of it. That freaked me out, seeing somebody getting overcome by something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that scared the piss out of me.
So what do you think actually happens there?
You know, I found out he went back later with some groups and people I know, and he had another experience similar, even more intense. Like anytime there's anything bad, negative, people automatically go to demon. When I was very religious and stuff, I would have thought the same thing. At one time in my life, I used to think that all spirits were demons and they were posing as departed loved one or a ghost to try to fool people into believing something that wasn't the truth, you know, that kind of thing. And I definitely don't believe like that anymore through personal experience.
I was going to say, even still for me, I'm still a Christian. I don't think that all spirits are demons. Maybe like it's not even all spirits.
And I've started thinking that too. It's hard to say because you're like, okay, in a place like that prison, what if there's some kind of time loop or time, whatever you want to call it, and there being something interdimensional? They would have to know that they were interacting with another dimension. One of the things that happens at Brushy Mountain a lot, and other places, especially prisons and all, but women get attacked. One of the Discovery shows went, and the lady who was there was telling us about it. The last time I did an event there, I've been there twice, and shout out to Night Shift Paranormal, who I work for. She was telling us that one lady had to go to the hospital. She was in one part of it. She literally got the hell beat out of her by something invisible. I mean, she was just beaten up. So, and I've heard of that there. I've heard of all kind of stuff there. But the last time I was there, we were back in the gym area and we were all meeting, getting ready to do another round, groups would rotate. Some people, like I was doing the whole, another person was doing the old auditorium, another person was doing what they call D block, and people would do rotations, and then we let them all go off on their own and use the equipment. This lady come in, and I saw everybody looking at her back. I was like, do you mind if I look? And she has 3 just fingernail marks just raked across her back. And I mean, she wasn't doing anything but just standing there, and her back started burning. Well, as she was talking to us, you know, she told me, she's like, now my stomach's burning. You know, and her husband was right there with her. I was like, can we look? I mean, and so she just pulled her shirt up just a little bit right here. And right there, I saw like whelps forming right in front of her. That was crazy. And then she comes up to me and she says, I want to go face it. I was like, you sure about that? And they're real ticky about any kind of thing you do at Brushy. Like a lot of people like sage. Some people pray. Some people... stuff like that.
Yeah.
The lady there who's in charge of the tours and stuff, she asked that people not sage, not do anything like that, because there were so many different faiths represented in that prison. That she, when prisoners were there, that she wants to be respectful of any beliefs that anybody had when they were there.
Right.
So we're very careful about not doing that kind of stuff. So we were trying to figure, okay, maybe we can tell this lady something to do when she gets home. If this keeps bothering her, maybe we can, you know, I still do believe in prayer, you know, and I still do have a faith in God. You know, it looks a lot different. Like I said, I don't consider myself a Christian anymore. I'm just spiritual, but
I think we're a lot more alike in that way. I call myself a Christian mystic because I recognize that God is a whole lot bigger than what grew up thinking.
Yes, and I definitely agree with that. And so she wanted to go face it, so we did. We went back to where it happened and some other spots, and nothing really happened, but her husband said, you need to stop. He said, leave my wife alone. This is my wife. You're not allowed to do this anymore. It's like she did a 180, man. It all stopped. She started feeling better. That let me know that it wasn't some kind of crazy demon or whatever. He didn't have to do some kind of religious ceremony. He didn't have to do some kind of exorcism or something. He just told it to leave her the hell alone. So, I mean, let me know that it was a prisoner. I think that a lot of people in places like that, why they stick around, what the actual... how it happens, I don't know. There's also, as we talked about, so much residual energy.
Yeah.
You know, in places like that a lot of times there are plenty of intelligent spirits at this place, no doubt. But there's also just so much residual energy. I mean, the way they tortured prisoners, the way they killed them.
That reminded me of a near-death experience that I heard about, where this guy was talking about when you die, if you try to hang on to this planet, you will stay here. And it'll feel like you're still amongst everybody, but that you'll be roaming around in this darkness, and the people that stay in this place get more evil, and they'll just do anything to you. Vile things that you wouldn't want to even talk about or imagine. That's kind of like how you choose where you go when you die. You could choose your own hell, basically. If you chose to go into the light, if you lived a life of love and you were ready and you weren't afraid to go, that you would go up into heaven. And you would be with God, the creator of everything. So like that could have been a prisoner.
Yeah.
In his mind, we're here around him, but he can't, we can't see him maybe. I don't know how that works, but
yeah.
But so on the other thing, you talked about possible possession, that you didn't think it was that. You remember the exorcism of Emily Rose?
Oh yeah.
You remember the real case? Have you looked into that?
I have some. I've heard the real tapes.
I've seen some pictures of that girl, and to me, compared to what they made it look like in the movie, just looking at her, like she looked like she might have been possibly mentally ill. Do you think it was possession or mental illness or combination?
Did she die?
I think she died from it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's been so long.
Didn't she starve herself? Let me see. I'll look it up. She did die from malnourishment and dehydration.
You know, I don't know. It's such a hard subject. One time in my life, I would have said, you dang right, it's a demon. I had an encounter when I was a Christian with a teenage girl that we were praying with, and she flipped out, and people in the back of the room said her eyes were pitch black, and she started wigging out. And that girl told me that she could see herself acting like that, but felt like she didn't have any control. And I've heard other cases, and I believe demonic possession is real. Now the thing is that a lot of people don't want to talk about is pretty much every major faith has exorcisms. I've seen footage of a Buddhist exorcism. I've seen footage, the Jewish faith, they have exorcisms. The Muslim, you name it. So a lot of people think that Christianity's got here's the proof, because we've got demons being cast it out. Well, that happens in a lot of other faiths and stuff too. And not to say that Christian exorcism isn't real. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think there's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess. I mean, me personally, I don't really know what to say. But yeah, as far as Emily Rose, that's what I'm saying, because you have to deal with mental illness, whether it be schizophrenia. People can manifest some crazy things just simply through mental illness. I think the Catholic Church now has a pretty big criteria you have to meet before they agree to an exorcism. The way I once believed, I think it can be dangerous because you automatically jump to demonic influence, demonic possession. And I know this is a Halloween episode, so I'm not trying to get on religion or anything. Me being someone who suffers from mental illness, having OCD, depression, things that I've had some very big struggles with, addiction, and I'm open about it and I talk about it. But I used to have people all the time tell me, we're going to pray this out, cast it out. And I'm like, do you have any idea how many prayer lines I've been through, how many times I've been anointed with oil, how many times I've taken authority over all these things? And the only thing that ever helped me was therapy and medication. I believe God uses those kind of things too, because God was the one who gave us the ability to invent those things. I think there's a fine line, and I think you have to be careful with possession. It's so popular in the paranormal world. That's why so many YouTube channels, the first thing you're going to see is demon cult, demon. And I don't like that.
No, I work with this dude. I love him. He's funny. But he would send me these videos of ghosts in the house and stuff like that. It would usually be like a jump scare or something. And I'd be like, dude, I hate you. Or like the really messed up looking deer that comes up on the house in Appalachia on the porch or whatever. It looks like a half a goat, half a deer. I'm scared of stuff, dude. I just need to come stay with you. And we just need to go out and we need to do everything they tell you not to do. Okay, I'll do it with you.
Let's whistle when we're out there. Let's do all those things and just see what happens.
10 minutes up the road is there's a section of the Appalachian Trail, and there's a nice little camping spot up there. We'd go up there and spend a night or two up there and act foolish.
Yes, we should do it, and I could get my Bigfoot calls going, dude. I do some pretty sweet ones, and no, I'm not going to do them on here. But I can do them. That's right.
Man, when we go hiking, I'll get the kids, they'll get a good 20, 30 feet, maybe 20 yards in front of me, maybe. Just get too far away, and I'll go, woo, real loud. They'll stop dead in their tracks. I'm like, y'all better stop. So about Project Stargate. So we're talking about mental illness, though. So have you heard of that?
In listening to podcasts and stuff, I've heard that mentioned. I've heard that, unless I'm just thinking about Stargate, the movie and the series.
Well, it's kind of based on that, but it's not. When you talked about the Greg and Dana Newkirk thing, what would you call it where they put the headphones on?
The Estes method.
So when you talked about the Estes method, for some reason, I remembered, so those people that were part of doing something that they did during Project Stargate, where they were doing telepathy, traveling, their spirits were leaving their bodies, and they were able to spy on people, communicate with their minds, and all this stuff. Like what they made that movie.
Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah, The Men Who Stare at Ghosts. They try to make it look like a joke.
It's a real case.
Yeah. So I got to thinking about it because the guys that I was thinking that you were talking about when you were talking about the other thing, they did something like that in the Annabelle house. They put headphones on so that they couldn't hear anything, so that there was proof that they couldn't hear each other. Like one person would be down in the basement where it's like a dirt basement down there. And Matt Rife just bought that place, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
which
then
a lot of people don't realize that he's all over YouTube doing paranormal investigating before he ever even got into, that's where I first saw him before I started knowing his comedy was doing paranormal investigating. So anyway.
Oh, cool. Then the other guy was like on the other end of the property somewhere. I don't remember. They ended up actually communicating with each other and experiencing the same thing simultaneously. The guy that was explaining how they were able to do this was talking about how you have to split your mind in half to have the vibrations in your brain being at the exact same frequency at the exact same time to be able to do this. And he said it's very similar to what happens with schizophrenic people. It made me wonder, are schizophrenic people like stuck in between the realms?
I don't know.
I met a guy who had schizophrenia one time and he was talking about it to me. And before that, I was afraid of it because, it just sounded kind of scary to me. The guy, he was cool. I was going to school, so I had to interview him and learn about him. And he would talk to me about his condition. And I was like, so explain to me what it's like. He's like, do you see that person right over there? And I was like, no. And he said, well, I do. He just did. So it's kind of like maybe if we could figure out some more of this kind of stuff, what you're doing, I feel like it's an overlooked science, because if we could find out more about it, maybe we could help more people in different situations too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thought, You're talking about that. It makes me, and I cannot remember this guy's name. I don't remember his last name. I want to say his first name was Matt, but it was years ago when I was in with Blood Comes Cleansing. It was before I left for a short time and came back. It was before Michael Sasser took over for that time. This would have had to have been '05, I guess. We were playing in Auburn, Alabama. And this guy came and hung out with us quite a bit. And he and I got to talking. Something I brought up about mental health. I was telling him about what I dealt with OCD, and he shared with me that he was a schizophrenic. I'd never really talked to anybody. I mean, obviously he was on his meds and he was doing good, but he was a really good photographer. We started talking. And he was like, "Well, Dean, he said it was a while back. He said I was out taking pictures, and he said I saw this really awesome old house, and he's like, I really wanted to take pictures of it because it was just, this old farmhouse, all that." And so he went and he knocked on the door and he asked the people if he could take pictures, and they said yeah. And so I'm trying to remember this story right, but I'm getting the gist of it. But he said that when he walked off to go when he turned back around, it was all gone. The whole encounter, the people, the house, everything was all from his schizophrenia. It was all hallucinated,
Yeah.
And it was just as real, to him as me and him sitting there talking. And I've always thought that would be terrifying,
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me something scary.
Tell you something scary. I'll talk more about where I'm at right now.
Yeah, tell us a little backstory there.
Yeah, this is my mom's florist, her flower shop that I'm here at, and still set up upstairs with bedrooms and stuff. And my dad lived here for quite some time, and my dad did pass away here, but he coded here. They got him back, and then later, take him off life support, and which I've told you the story about my dad. He's actually been pretty active in my life since he's been gone. This house was built in 1900. The two main people who lived here were two sisters, Sunday and Monday Collins, which I think those are cool-ass names,
Yeah.
There was always jokes and stuff. It's crazy because my mom had her business here at one time. Then she moved it next door to a bigger house, which is called the Baggs House, and it's very haunted too. Got a really almost famous picture in our area now that was captured there. That somebody I know captured it. But she came back here, and my dad would always joke around about his feet getting covered up and stuff like that during the night here. And my mom and them would make jokes about stuff moving and stuff like that. But they were, you say jokes, they're being serious, but kind of trying to laugh it off. Well,
kind of trying to pretend like you don't believe it's happening.
Right. And so I started getting out my equipment here. I was laying in that bed upstairs one night, half asleep, and something pulled my collar. It woke me up. I was like, okay, I was either dreaming or something happened. Well, as we know, especially that in-between state of awake and asleep is a very prime time for you to experience the paranormal or other things going on because your brain's open. I may have mentioned this last time I was on here with you, but my TikTok's got videos of some of the stuff I'm about to talk about. I set up some equipment upstairs, the cat balls.
So those cat balls are the lights that you set up all around everywhere, and then they'll move around or light up?
Yeah, it's just a regular cat toy, but you have to touch it for the lights to go off on them. It's a sensor. You have to touch it. I had set some of those up. I set the REM pod up like I got there, and I started getting hits, man. I was like, okay, could you set, the cat ball started going off. I was like, okay, just so I can know you're really doing it, can you do that again? And right as I asked it, started doing it again. And I had one set up across the room, and I started asking. I said, I need to ask you, when I was in the bed that night, did you touch my shirt? And right before I could finish the question, the one clear across the room that hadn't even gone off yet started going off. It was answering my questions, and it let me know that it was legit. And then I've got a video of using the Phasma box here, which I use all the time, and it's on a tablet, but spirits are able to, the thing's crazy. I talked about it on here last time. It's my favorite piece of equipment I've got. Basically, they're able to manipulate word banks and sound banks into saying things. And I've heard of people hearing voices they recognize come through it. It's not, I don't hook to the internet or anything like that with it. It uses echo and reverb all in the program, and you can only use it on Windows 10 and up friendly tablets or laptops. You can't get it on your phone. You can't. They design it that way. The answers you get are very clear sometimes. And I've got a video of this. I was in in there where my dad's old closet was at, which he still got a lot of clothes in there. I was asking, I was like, whose closet did this used to be? And just quickly, it goes Richard, and that was my dad's name, very clearly. And
yeah,
it like, whoa, a few minutes later, we're sitting in there, and I said, can you tell me how many times I knock on the table? And I knocked twice, and very quickly it goes 2. Right after I did it, it told me how many times I knocked. A buddy that was with me, he said, I thought I just heard the name Collins. I was like, well, yeah, this was the Collins house. And I said, well, who am I talking to? Am I talking, what member of the Collins family? This is on the TikTok too, and it says, this is Sunday. That's what it says. So Sunday made herself known. So there's definitely intelligent things here, and nothing at all that might scare you if it catches you off guard, which thankfully I've walked around and told them not to do that.
Yeah.
Like not to sneak up and scare me like that, nicely. I don't think there's anything here that is harmful at all. I think whatever pulled my collar that night was just kind of messing around, trying to get my attention. It's kind of cool. Whenever I get the itch to investigate, a lot of times I just pull out my equipment here. That's what I've had going on here. Hadn't had anything physical happen, just whenever I investigate. I haven't been on like a good investigation in a while. I'm really getting the itch, especially since Halloween's coming up. It's that time of year, I'm supposed to be, I hope that I go to the SS North Carolina in October. That's a really cool place too. Last time I was there, I was in the torpedo room, they call it, and this was one of the most decorated battleships in World War II. And you would think that tons of people die, but I think, of course, any life lost is tragic, but there were only like 10 deaths in all those battles on that battleship. And 4 of them happened in the latrines and the showers. They call it the torpedo room now. But when the torpedo hit, 2 guys fell overboard, I think 1 or 2 guys. And then there were 4 guys that were in the showers. Mm-hmm. And sadly, they had to actually shut them up in there because the whole rest of the ship was flooding, and they had to shut the doors, and those guys wound up getting shut up in there, and they drowned.
Oh, man.
And so it's one of the most haunted areas of the ship, naturally. Investigating in there, I was waiting on a group to come down there, and I intentionally went in there. I was like, I want to spend some time by myself down here. So I was in there by myself just listening and just relaxing, just kind of closed my eyes, and you could hear it. I heard it sound like a guy was walking around whistling up above me, man. And in one part of the ship that night, we thought the other group right there by us. There was so much commotion and voices and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's got to be the other group. I didn't realize they were this close. When we talked to them, they were on the completely other side of the ship. So, it was just stuff going on there. Each time I've been there, there's been something, cool. Once again, that's another place that usually there's really nothing to be afraid of. But I've also heard that in some places, depending on what type of energy comes into a place, people can bring stuff with them. Bad energy, something demonic, whatever.
Maybe you attract it because your own personal vibration is there.
Right. And a friend of mine, and she hadn't been long, spent 3 nights at the Conjuring House in a row. Now, she didn't spend the night, but she stayed until the wee hours of the morning every night and then went back to the hotel. She actually had some things follow her back. She was using the Phasma box that I was talking about there, and her guest heard her voice come through there.
Oh, wow.
And so just something was mimicking her. And she's from that area. Megan's her name, and she's from the Wilmington area. And she was telling me, here lately this was the first time I ever went. She's like, there's never been anything acting dark here. But she said here lately, I don't know what's going on. But I was using her Phasma box that night, because I didn't have one yet. And it was the one she had used at the Conjuring House that had all the crazy stuff happening with it. And I told her, I was like, I got some dark stuff. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, because I very clearly, and everybody there, even the guests were like, but clearly you hear a woman say the devil is here. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not sure who this is or what, but, you don't say anything else, And this one guy was like, yeah, that's a little too paranormal. So, yeah, we had a few things like that happened, and cussed at, and of course, but brushy or prisons and stuff like that, using that phasma box, I won't repeat some of the stuff you get called.
Sure.
I've been cussed out on that thing in a lot of places. Obviously, the Battleship is a place of honor and memory of World War II and the sailors who lost their lives. In essence, I don't think there's anything negative on that ship, but there's no telling what might have attached itself to something, what might have came, So, I think that kind of stuff will kind of try to wiggle its head in sometimes,
Have you ever gone to the Milledgeville Mental Hospital?
Man, that's so weird. I would literally, I'm not kidding. I was just thinking about that place today. Not even joking. I want to go there so bad.
I drove by it before. It's so creepy looking.
It was one of the biggest asylums in the nation.
I would imagine somewhere like that, old school mental health treatments and stuff, it's almost a horror movie in itself, the way that they treated people, man. So just imagine the type of energy that would be there would probably be way more intense than something even like in a prison.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm sure there's been some people. I was talking to a guy here recently who's an investigator, and he wouldn't go, but he had some friends who snuck on the property now, or were going to, but he found out that it's literally a $10,000 fine if you get caught.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and he's like, dude, I can't afford that. And I was like, no, me either. They're they're tearing a lot of it down, which really pisses me off. Well, growing up, that they would tell you, people get in trouble. They're like, boy, they're going to send you to Milledgeville, is what they would say. There used to be, I don't know if it's still there or not, Blakely had a juvenile home, and that used to be what they'd say, you're going to get sent to Blakely.
I always heard Milledgeville my whole life.
Yeah. And I was just watching an investigation at a very well-known haunted place, Penhurst Asylum in Pennsylvania. It's on my bucket list. A lot of people investigate there, and some of the stuff captured there is unreal. But there was a documentary that came out, I want to say the 70s. It was actually Geraldo Rivera. He was real young. They exposed what all was going on there. You can look it up online, and it's heartbreaking, man. And a lot of the workers, it wasn't necessarily their fault. They were just overrun by so many people and didn't have help, didn't have funding. And it's got video, these people, they're tied up, that you can help. But, I'm saying they're tied to their beds, their children. They said the smell of this place was just because they're sitting in their own feces.
They were filming the documentary while this was still happening?
Yes, you can go look it up. It'll probably find it on YouTube. It's
awful.
They call it the shame of Pennsylvania or something like that. That's not the name of the documentary. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But there's several groups on YouTube that have gone. There's been plenty of paranormal shows that have gone there. It's a very popular place. I know people who have been. It's somewhere I really want to go experience. You have a lot of places like that, and those are a lot of the places that you can pretty much bank on it that they're going to be haunted because there was just that kind of energy there, One of the first real creepy places I ever went to, we used to sneak in this place in Tallahassee called Sunland.
Was that a hospital as well?
A lot of people called it Sunnyland. There was an album that Mayday Parade did called Sunnyland, and that's what they're talking about. And because they're from Tallahassee, I remember that band Across 5 Aprils. We toured with those guys.
Dude, I saw them.
Did you?
Recently, yeah. When I saw the Showdown, they played with them.
They had a song called Sunnyland because the vocalist at the time was from Tallahassee. So, yeah, it was a known place, but it was originally a tuberculosis hospital, and then it became a hospital for mentally challenged kids and stuff like that. But I never had anything happen there, but it was crazy. I wish to God they hadn't torn it down. What's funny is that there's apartments there now. And I've heard that people do have strange stuff happen in the apartments. I was like, well, yeah, I could have told you that was going to happen.
It's like Poltergeist with the Indian burial grounds, and then they built the neighborhood on top of the graveyard, basically.
You ever watched any of the stuff about the curse of that movie?
No.
Yeah, the original Poltergeist from the 80s. You should look that up. Well, of course, you have the little girl. She died before, I think, third film was done making. Something crazy. And then the older daughter in the first one, she got murdered by her boyfriend. Stuff like that. Just they realized that some of the skeletons they used in the swimming pool scene were real. There was just a lot of crazy stuff like happened during and after the making of that movie with the cast. Yeah, so
some really unfortunate synchronicities, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I've only ever had one supernatural thing that I can remember. Two, for sure, two. So the one, I told Ryan Joseph Murphy that I didn't, but that's simply because I don't know him that well and I didn't want him to think I was crazy. So sorry, Ryan, if you watched this. On your episode, I lied a little bit and toned it down. So I was playing the piano at a church one night by myself. It was dark. It was after hours. I only had a lamp on or something. Wasn't a whole lot of light. I was just playing the piano and just like in like a really meditative state, and my heart was on God. At some point I looked up, and when I did, there was this bright white light, and it went, there was like these old like doors, with the little bouncy springy things on them where it goes either way. So there was like a couple doors like that right before you went into the foyer. The light went through the door and it went like that. And it didn't scare me. It felt peaceful, but it was like, what? I guess it was an angel at the time, for sure. That's what I thought.
Very well could have been. Yeah.
The other thing that happened, me and Jonathan was driving. We used to go to church together when we were teenagers. We'd go out to eat. There was, in Donaldsonville, there was only either Dairy Queen. When that closed down, they changed it to Classics. Or either Quick and Handy, which was a gas station that had like some chairs and stuff in there where you could get some chicken strips, and then Hardee's and a Subway and Pizza Hut. That was it. So we went to one of them places, I'm sure. And then we were headed back. And it's summertime, so it was probably 10 o'clock at night. And I was driving, take him home, and then I go home. We lived almost out the same way, but separate directions. He lived down a dirt road. It was creepy at night. I didn't love driving down it. But he was my best friend, so I took him home. But on the way, we were driving, and all I could see was blackness. But it was bigger than a dog. Ran in front of the car, and I like slammed on brakes because I thought I was going to hit a dog, because it's what you think it is. We definitely should have hit whatever it was. It made no impact. It disappeared.
Whoa.
And then I just drove faster to take him home because I can't explain what that was. That one scared me.
Yeah, I bet. And that was it. Was that in Georgia?
It was in Donaldsonville, Georgia.
Okay, gotcha.
You enjoy Halloween, right?
I love it. It's my favorite holiday.
It's one of my favorite holidays. I still kind of get the same vibe out of Christmas because have always like thought Christmas was like all magical and stuff, but then you've got the Bob Cratchit, the Scrooge story. Scrooged was one of my favorites at that time. I've always liked that little bit of darkness, a little bit of Nightmare Before Christmas. So Halloween's a very, like, I would say I love them equal.
I love Christmas too. I deal a lot with, I get really bummed out and depressed sometimes around Christmas. It's been that way since I was a teenager at times, but now, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's a seasonal depression thing or whatever going on, but like, I don't know, I'm a very nostalgic person, a very sentimental person, sometimes so to the point that I wish I would, because like just the smallest things will trigger a memory in me, and it's so Christmas, it just brings up a lot of emotions for me. But I still love it. I love the magical. I love that part of it too. Yes, I love Halloween, and I took a break from Halloween for years because I was told that, not by my parents. And my parents are Christians, but they were very much open to let me experience Halloween and have fun. They weren't like, but I had some people in church that I was with that their beliefs were that it was all, bad, that it was all something of the devil. And so I listened to that for a number of years. And when I got over that, even when I was still very much in Christianity, like, I love Halloween. I've loved it since I was a kid. So I was a little mad that I...
Did you have Hallelujah nights?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what we used to call it when I was a little kid.
Man, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but I would have liked to have been able to dress up like a vampire.
Yeah, yeah. No, I did do that too. I got to go trick or treating. You remember whenever the Halloween costumes used to be those vinyl things that just like you'd have like a Batman costume on top of the vinyl and just the front mask, or Bugs Bunny, or like what's some of those that you remember?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember those. I never always did. I don't remember if I had one of those or not. I know I was Jason.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, oh, yeah, dude. I was a big slasher film fan as a kid, which I probably shouldn't have been as a kid. But, yeah, I can remember I had my Jason mask, and I bought a bald cap, a cap to make me look bald. I wanted to look more. I was like, I don't have anything to wear. And so my grandma, she got this old flannel shirt, ripped it up, and then she got a tube of her lipstick and just put red lipstick all over the shirt to make it look like blood. And,
That's
I
what's
just
up.
just, going with it. And I've always loved vampires, so I was a vampire more than once. I always kind of did a little more than the little costumes you could buy, but I remember plenty of them. E.T., was still a thing when I was a kid. And you remember in that movie when they go trick or treating, that was always like one of my
That's my
favorite
favorite
parts
scene
of that.
in that movie.
It is. It's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got him dressed up like a ghost.
I don't know. There's something about the way that they used to capture scenes like that in movies that if they did it right, it's timeless. And like it gave you a feeling. Yeah. It wasn't just watching something on TV. You can remember that feeling that it gave you, and I still get that feeling when I look at it now.
I watched a video today from Halloween 1988, and it showed kids carving pumpkins and wearing their Frankenstein and werewolf mask, and you can feel that whole like feeling that I would get as a kid watching that.
Yeah, man.
It's just I don't know, something special about it.
You got to carve a pumpkin. That's part of the tradition. Even if you don't have kids, if you're watching this and you don't got kids, you don't normally do it, go get a pumpkin and carve it. It'll change your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Fun.
I suck at it, but it is fun.
It's fun. So what I do is I get me a marker or a pencil or something, and I just like trace on it, and then I'll cut it out, and then I'll take it with and do a little bit more carefully to make it look neater. But no, at first you can't get a good cut though. You have to push on it a little bit, and it takes about 2 hours to make a good pumpkin, even basic one.
I don't have the patience like you're talking about, dude. I try to get it done. I'm telling you, I'm very bad at that type of art.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I mean, but who decided to start? Do you know where that came from? I feel like if you did that and put it outside because the spirits would come out on All Hallows Eve, and if you didn't want them to mess with you, you put that out, and it would keep them away from the house.
Right.
Is that right?
It's funny. I think about that. I think about all the pagan traditions that are practiced in Christmas and Easter and all that too,
Very much so. So I consider Jason a Halloween movie. I consider Nightmare on Elm Street a Halloween movie. Scream, obviously Halloween is. What's your favorite Halloween movie?
My all-time favorite movie is The Lost Boys, so I'm going to put that.
Oh, I forgot about that, yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be there. But as far as like the movies you're talking about, I guess I have to name my favorite one out of the series because it's hard to really, it's like Friday the 13th. My favorite Friday the 13th is part 3.
Okay.
So when he first gets the hockey mask, and which was I never saw it in the theaters, of course, but it was done in 3D, like really cheesy 3D for the time. But Nightmare on Elm Street, my favorite one's the third one, Dream Warriors.
Oh, I love that one. That's the one where they're in the hospital?
Yeah. That's my favorite one. And
is that the one where he's like, how's this for a wet dream?
That's the fourth one.
I love that scene.
Showing my nerd side. Yeah, that was the Dream Master, part 4.
I love that scene.
Yeah, I do too, man. When he comes up out of the waterbed. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Let's see. And then, of course, the Halloween movies, of course, the original.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to top. That movie, everything about that movie is good. And some people didn't, but I actually liked Rob Zombie's version of it.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it had Rob Zombie stuff in it, but apparently he's doing a whole new Nightmare on Elm Street based series about Freddy, like prequel type stuff. Rob Zombie's doing
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where's that going to be?
Yeah. I look for. I'd have to look and see. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Another series is coming out soon is Welcome to Derry. About
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'm pumped about that. And then there's supposed to be one called Crystal Lake that they kept going back and forth that they were going to do, but last I heard it was still on. And a lot of people, there are some things I think you shouldn't mess with, but like prequel stuff like that, I mean, I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm excited about it. So
For sure. Well, I mean, they've got a lot of lure that they can't fit into a movie, especially with it. That book was long.
yeah, man, that book,
And like
and
those newsreels and stories, you could make whole episodes out of some of that stuff.
I tried to read that book. And my attention span's awful, so I hadn't been too long. Did Pet Cemetery? Well, I say two. It was several years ago, but I did Pet Cemetery on audio, and I really enjoyed that.
That's the way I do it, is audio, because I can't sit there and read that long. Well, tell me your favorite tradition for Halloween, and then we'll wrap this up.
My favorite Halloween tradition is probably wearing nothing but a mask and streaking. I like to run around. And then I got arrested. When
did that happen?
My favorite Halloween tradition.
Is that real?
It didn't. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I told somebody recently, I said, bucket list thing of mine is I want to get an indecent exposure charge.
Oh.
One day before I die.
It would be fun and probably harmless, totally but like kidding. The problems that come with it wouldn't be worth it.
Exactly. My favorite, honestly, I think my favorite Halloween tradition are the haunted houses, man. Like,
oh yeah,
that you can find in different places that people put on. Like finding a good haunted house, I love that. I mean, of course, I like real haunted places, but you know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, jump scares.
I love having the hell scared out of me.
Yeah.
And I think my least favorite tradition would have to be the judgment houses that churches do.
Yeah, man.
So
those are just, you can't scare somebody
despise
into believing in God. That's so sad.
Oh, it infuriates me. We won't. We could go down a whole nother episode with that. So yeah.
Well, it's literally a double standard, because you're like, that's evil, that's of the devil. But unless you go to heaven at the end of it, like, okay.
Right. That's right.
Man, I appreciate you coming to talk about this. No, go ahead.
No, it's just on that subject, and I'd hate to end on that, but I knew a guy who ran sound at a thing for that one time. He didn't really know what he was going to do. And they were really, when they walked through hell in the portion of it, people were reaching out, putting icy hot on kids' arms so it would burn.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So that's how jacked up some of that stuff gets. So anyway, but yeah, dude, this has been fun. I love talking with you. I hate to end on that note.
Oh no, maybe somebody needs to hear it. No, yeah, because like as a Christian, and I don't say that to be like, oh, I'm a Christian and you're not a Christian and you don't call yourself. I think that we still believe in the same God, and there's a lot of uptight people that call themselves Christians out there, and they don't listen to people, and they don't listen to the Word of God. They don't read what they say they believe in. They listen to what somebody else tells them to say and believe, and maybe they need to hear that. Maybe they need to realize that that's not healthy. So
yeah,
I'm okay with
sure.
it. You know?
Oh yeah.
It ain't always got to be a fun time, but it will be a fun time. Everybody's going to enjoy this. I know it. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's a lot of fun. I love hanging out and talking about this stuff.